It's Monday morning. Heavens to Betsy. Welcome everybody. Welcome back to my studio. This is Emma on a bit of a grey day here in Cumbria, but nonetheless it's light and bright in here because I've got lots of windows in my studio and I'm not downhearted by whatever the weather's doing. I don't give a monkeys. We've had such a mixed bag. We've had snow, we've had hail, we've had bright sunshine. It's, I would say, a typical springtime here. It's freezing cold for the lambs one day and then the sun comes out and it's boiling. I did some gardening yesterday. I actually finally got around to cutting back my buddleia. And I've no idea how you spell buddleia, but it's got lots of H's and J's and goodness knows what in. But the most important thing was I actually got out there and it was almost too hot in the sun. I had a big fleece jacket on and it was almost too hot and it was just lovely. It was just great being outdoors and starting to make some sense in the garden, because really it does get a bit crazy out there. We're very much wild garden here, I would say. You know, this the current phase for sort of just letting nature take its course in your garden. It's great because ours was already doing that years before anybody thought of that as a fashionable thing to do. I think it's wonderful because we have such a lot of wildlife around here. We've got rabbits everywhere, we've got birds, all kinds of things. There's a little blue tit currently nesting in our house. We've got a little bit of stonework that's come adrift, and there's a little tiny hole. And there's a little blue tit nesting in there. I was watching it the other day, bringing some little stuff in its beak. And I think we've got another bird's nest above a window. So I have to be really careful, because if we open the window, the birds get in. And we once spent ages chasing round, I think it was a little wren or something, and it was tiny, tiny, tiny little bird, chasing it around the house, you know, trying to catch it. So anyway, it's springtime. Let's celebrate that, whatever. The year is turning round, and if it's going to autumn where you are, well, bless you, because you know what? That's a beautiful time too, isn't it? And we're just coming out of winter, and I'm very grateful. So, those of you who watched last week's video will see the wacky colours that I'm bringing in. I've got my big scrap bag out again to see what else I might like to add onto my tulips. So we're putting green, and purple, and blue, and pink, and goodness knows what else is going to go in the mix. There was a bit of orange. I had some nice bright orange and some laces and things, all kinds of things going in the mix today. I've put together a nice collection of threads and we're just going to see what happens. I've got to actually show up now and do the grafty bit, which is actually laying it all out properly, because what I did last week, I just did a very rough version of it and it didn't matter. So now I've actually really got to set to and pull it all together. And it's a bit like, I always think it's a bit like writing an essay in some ways, this stage, because you've actually got to show up and do it, and you've actually got to start. And once I start, it's fine, it'll all just start to flow. But I'm looking at it from over here, it's sitting over on my table over there, and I'm thinking, I've got to actually go and do this and make it happen. And it's a bit scary, and I don't know why. It's just like, you know, there's no risk involved really. I'm just going to do it. I'm just making something with fabric and thread, but there's something in it that just makes you go, oh, it would be so much easier if I just didn't bother, wouldn't it, you know? But then there'd be no videos and no fun. So I'm going to go across to my table, which I have to say is looking a lot clearer in here. I went to the charity shop 3 times last week, I think. I took a carload of furniture and a carload of all sorts of stuff, and then I've been taking little bootfuls, and I've got some more to go. I've been going through all my fabrics. I'm really honing what I'm going to be doing going forward. So let's get this gorgeous lot of fabric over to my table and let's get started. Well, okay, so this is kind of where I left it last week, and I've been busy doing other things. As you know, I've been clearing out my studio, so I haven't had the wherewithal to come back and get on with it. So what I need to do now, I think, is, this is a very rough and ready version, and what I need to do is sort of make it much cleaner, sort it out, get my pieces cut out into the right sort of shapes that I really want to use, rather than just these sort of odds and sods here. So I'm going to take all of this off here, because I haven't actually finalised how it's going to look yet. So we'll just have that like that. And now I've got to decide what I'm going to be doing with this bit down here. And quite honestly, I'm not sure yet. It's going to come, but the idea is going to come. It's gone a little bit rough at the top edge here, so I might trim that back a bit, because unfortunately this sort of very dark colour does come out of it. So I think I just need to stitch this down. I think I might just do it that way, or do I do it vertically? This is where I should have asked you last week, what shall I do with this, guys? I just feel probably horizontally might be the simplest, and then the verticals will go up like that. So I'll take it over to my sewing machine and do that, and then I'll come back and we'll get cutting out the pieces that we need. Okay, so I just went in the end for a very simple set of lines going across, kind of mirroring this, kind of, I thought it'll just blend in then and it doesn't look too jumpy. I didn't want to do vertical lines, I thought that wasn't the right thing to do, and I've sort of broadened them out a little bit as you come down to the foreground here. I mean, they're going to disappear really behind the stalks of the tulips and so forth, so I just wanted something fairly simple, but I like it because it actually gives a bit of detail to that as well. Now, whether I'm going to have trouble stitching these down and I might have to put something underneath, no, I don't think so. I think we'll just do that for the tulip heads. This is the whole game of this, everybody, is just make it up as you go along and do what looks right to your eye. Do what feels good, you know? Those are, I mean, that's far too thick. That's not the size of stalk I would use. But you start to get the feeling, and I like the fact that that all just does that. It's quite simple. So I need to really get down and get on with it. I need to cut some tulip heads out and make some choices and just jolly well do it. But I like it so far. I hope you do too. So as you can see here, I've cut out the tulip heads that I want to use. I've done a mixture of the colours, but I'm going to be adding other colours on top. So these are just a base colour. You'd be pleased to know I recycled all the bits that I had cut out. I only had to cut one more head out, and I just reused the bits of fabric that I had already cut out roughly, so nothing is wasted. And what I've done now is I've roughly cut out some little bits to go underneath. This is going to be my wadding underneath, okay? So I've made them all smaller than the actual tulip heads. I might have to trim a little bit more off yet, I'm not sure. I'll see how it goes with the first one when I stitch it down. It's a bit of a hit and miss, this. You could obviously make yourself a really nice pattern and do it all meticulously, or you can be a bit rough and ready like I am. See, that's a bit too close in there. We'll just trim that a little bit off a bit. And I'm not really trying to get up into the points at all of the tulips, because I think that will be just too much. You know, if I try and get this wadding right up into there, that's just too fiddly. It's a rough approximation and it's going to be good enough, as they say. When it gets underneath there and I can get stitched around it, and as I say, I might have to trim these in a little bit because I might be asking a bit too much, even with my sewing skills, to get that wadding under there without it showing. It's really important it doesn't show, so I think I will probably trim them down a little bit more. It's very hit or miss, as I say. It's just, you know, cut them roughly to the size and then perhaps trim them down a little bit more. And I've got to also then think about where the stalks are going to go, so I'm going to pin these on, put the stalks on and see where they're going to go, because they need to go, any stalk that I make obviously needs to go underneath the head. Let's just see if we can make this work. If I need to do it, I need to do them in the right order, so they need to go underneath, and I'm not even sure at this point. I need to play around a little bit more and see where the leaves are going to go. For example, I don't know whether I want to make it really complicated and put them underneath. No, I think not. I think we'll just have them as an extra bit, perhaps a bit lower down, so they don't interfere. We'll let the tulip head stand proud and let the leaves kind of just come up and be a lower down kind of arrangement. So, making progress. It's slow, but I will get there. And I will take you with me. Okay, so it's looking good. I've slowly cut out some stems and I've popped them under here, and I just worked along, and I thought, well, those two could be blue, or we'll put a purple one in next. I was kind of, what occurred to me was I could make the reddish coloured ones blue, and then the pink ones would be the purple stalks, and that kind of helped me narrow it down a little bit. So I need to put that underneath there, pop that underneath there and get it pinned on. It's a bit fiddly, but honestly, I'm so excited to be doing this, and I can't wait to get stitching on it and actually get it held down, and then I can do all the fun bit with all the different fabrics onto the heads. It's like, oh, it's kind of still a bit scary, this bit, because I don't quite know where it's going to be going, but it's definitely getting there. And just get the pin in. Some of these pins work better than others, but never mind. That's good enough. That's good enough. So I'm going to stitch around those loosely, but I'm going to do the stalks first. And because I've just pinned them with one pin, I can lift that up and I can stitch the stalk on once I've got the stalks pinned on. And then I was thinking, well, you start to put the leaves on there, and then you can start to have fun putting the leaves on and making it like the stalks on tulips. They really come out of the leaves, don't they? So that kind of begins to just, you know, it begins to sing, it begins to harmonize and come together. And I'm just loving doing it. It's the most fun thing I've done in a while, because it doesn't matter, it's not for anything. I'm just having it for the sheer pleasure of playing around with it. I've still got that wee little hole in there if you watched my very first video, but I'm hoping I might get a leaf on top of it, or I'll just put a bit of stitching or something. I'm not concerned about it. You know, life isn't perfect and we're not perfect, and this certainly isn't meant to be perfect. It's just meant to be for the pleasure of doing it. So I'm going to get these stalks pinned on, and I'll put the leaves on last. I think they're going to go on last. And yes, stalks pinned on, get the stalk stitched down, and then I'll stitch around these bits, and then I can start adding the fun little bits of, you know, other colours of fabric on top, which will be just great to do. And I think that's probably going to be all for today, because it's nearly lunchtime again. It's always lunchtime, isn't it, in my house? That's all I do is eat, really. When I'm not making things, I'm eating or clearing out. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Do share what I'm doing, share the word, you know, spread the word, let people know that there's a bit of fun and creativity going on here, and everybody's welcome. So for now, I'll just say thanks very much again for watching, and I will see you again back in my studio. Oh, actually, last thing, hang on just a minute. I'm just engaging my brain here. I'm going to take 2 weeks off now. So in actual fact, the stitching I will show you after my 2-week holiday, okay? I'm just taking 2 weeks off. It's important that I have some downtime and just do some normal, you know, house things, and perhaps a bit of holiday. Perhaps I'm not actually going away on holiday, but I'm just taking time out. So I will be back in 2 weeks' time, and I will see you then. So have a great Easter. Have a wonderful time. I hope it's relaxing and peaceful for you, and the sun comes out. Ba ba da ba da ba da ba ba.